I still taste the heat of those lights off the ceiling and the soggy air pressed into the church hall, dust spinning in patterns by the oscillating fan. My shirt stuck to my skin, a phantom hand kneading my shoulders. I was 18 and they'd called us all, me, my parents, Tia, Rosalinda, the neighbors, to gather for a serious conversation. I already knew. I'd felt the rumors swirling. Still, I sat in the front row, fingers clasped, my notebook on my knees. Behind me, the church's stained glass windows sharpened the sunlight into splinters of green and blue, cutting over the wooden floor. Even from up front, the scent of old wax and frustrated hope got in my nose. Señor Evangelista, our community pastor, stood above us on the creaking platform. He'd always been a big man, but today he loomed, filling my vision in his billowy white shirt and silver crucifix. My cousin Joe slouched, trying not to look at me. My mother sat upright, hoping none of the judgment would rub off on her. My father was beside her, jaw clenched and red-eyed. "We are one community," Señor Evangelista said, looking directly at me, "and we must care for each other back onto the right path." A few neighbors murmured in approval. Others watched, waiting for the show. Then Tia Rosalinda got to her feet. Her green bangles clattered as she brushed her hair back. "My nephew says he wants to be some kind of machine genius," she said loudly, looking around for support. The word genius came out twisted. "He wants to leave, says he'll study the brain with robots. Ridicule. We need our young to do work that matters. Lucas, that work will not welcome you." Her voice filled the room, thunderous and self-assured. The others, always eager to latch onto a cause, breathed agreement, smirks blooming. I could feel the heat creeping up my neck, my fists balling and opening under the notebook. When I finally spoke, my voice was steadier than I felt. "No one is asking you for help. All I want is to try. I already have a scholarship. I just want to study. Why make this into?" I was cut off. Señor Evangelista's eyes flicked to the side and he spread his hands. "But Lucas, no one from here does these things. We are a simple community, son, working with your hands, building, healing, teaching. That is good, honest living. But these dreams bring nothing but sadness when they fail." My own father added, "He's always with his books, never with the family. Where will it get him? The world laughs at boys like this." "Not boys like this, boys from here," someone else said. I don't remember who. The laughter wasn't cruel, just certain, resigned, like the rain that always arrived on schedule. A sudden flush of rage ran through me. I wanted to stand, to burn the room to the ground with words, tell them they never gave me a chance, but my voice jammed in my throat. I saw my little sister, Anna, peeking from the back, biting her thumb. I stayed silent. Only my hands trembled. They voted pointlessly. The family supported me barely. The neighbors didn't. Señor Evangelista's face softened as if he pitied me. "You may go, Lucas, but don't expect these dreams to bring you joy or pride." "Thank you for nothing," I thought, but I nodded. I walked out, notebook in hand, and the slap of the wooden doors behind me felt like exile. That night in our kitchen, my father wouldn't look at me. My mother's lips were pressed into a line so tight it hurt to see her. Only Anna snuck into my room, curling up beside me on the mattress. "What if you do make something important?" she whispered. I choked back hot tears in the dark. "I'll come back and show everyone." "Promise. Promise." My scholarship was for a small university in Niterói, just across the bay, but worlds away. I hauled my whole life, 2 suitcases of books, my mother's chicken recipe scrawled in a notebook, Anna's origami star, across the city and tried to disappear into the crush. In that big, humming city, nobody knew or cared about my accent, the stain on my jeans, or the stories my family had told. Still, the memory of that church hall clung to me, the ridicule living just under my skin. Every time I sat in class, notebook open, I waited for the next mockery, to be found out as the fool who'd believed too much. My classmates were sharp, competitive, most of them rich or at least unconcerned with rent. When I asked questions about artificial neural networks or CRISPR, I felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, some annoyed, others amused. "That's beyond our scope," the professors would say, waving me off. In the supply room, I heard whispers. "That's the kid who talks about saving the world with robot brains." I spent weekends in the library, blowing by the assigned readings, poring over research journals in English, stumbling over words but getting there by nightfall. When I ran out of study credits for printing, I copied diagrams by hand. I emailed papers to big names, doctors in the US, researchers in Germany, hungry for anything that would unlock the future everyone else had dismissed. Money was always short. I tutored high school students in biology, washed dishes at a cafe overnight. More than once, I skipped lunch to pay for a thesis printout. When my shoes split, I patched them with duct tape. The others barely noticed me unless to laugh. Sure, sometimes I snapped. One night, a classmate stopped me in the hall, grinning. "How's the revolution coming, Professor?" I took a breath and pushed past, heart pounding. Not worth it. Rage seethed in my belly, molten, but outwardly I stayed small, contained. The kind of anger they want to see so they can say how predictable. In my third year, I finally lucked into a lab assistant spot. The work was tedious, pipetting samples, entering data, but I soaked it up, learning from every mistake. Professor Sato, the principal investigator, saw my drive. He dropped a file on my bench. "You like big ideas. Try designing an algorithm to speed up drug discovery. Nobody can do it." I pored over the file for weeks, the numbers dancing in my head as I rode cramped buses back to my rented room. I mapped neural networks on napkins, ran code on borrowed laptops. It failed over and over until I felt that cold flame licking at my core, the same as in the church hall, the sense I was a joke, that this was impossible. Each failure was like a whisper from home, "Told you so," but then a glimmer. My model worked, not perfectly, but enough to predict new peptide configurations faster than the old brute force way. Sato nodded in approval. "You may be onto something, publish it." The paper landed in a small journal, enough that a research collective in Sao Paulo took notice. They called, offering me a place in their doctoral program, room and stipend. The lab was modern, better funded, working with neuroprosthetics, artificial intelligence mapping to restore motion in damaged bodies. I called my mother, voice shaking. "I got a stipend to study in Sao Paulo, a big lab, me. World class." She paused. "That's good, Lucas. You know your Tia still thinks you're only doing odd jobs." I almost hung up. "You'll see soon," I said quietly. I threw myself into research. The hours were brutal. Sometimes I didn't see outside for days, the city blurring into a patchwork of lights through the basement laboratory window. Working late with Claudia, our team lead, I learned to solder wires the width of a hair, measure neural impulses. They treated me like I belonged at last, but I never let my guard down. Always the memory of home and that first public shaming kept me moving. Our breakthrough happened late on a rain-soaked April night. A patient paralyzed below the waist sat wired to our exosuit prototype. When we pulsed the AI chip, her leg quivered, then moved. The room went still. I heard my own breath in the silence. Claudia hugged me. "You did it, Lucas. Your peptide predictor let us refine that algorithm faster than any other team in Brazil. This is global news." I cried finally, not from sadness but the force of something breaking loose. Not success exactly. Maybe relief. A month later, we were invited to a symposium in Berlin. When I landed in that cold, clean city, badge around my neck, I kept my expression measured as if this was routine. I called home after the presentation, sitting in a glass lobby with rain streaking the windows. We presented, they asked me questions, good questions. She didn't respond right away, then. "Tia Rosalinda says you must have paid them." I laughed harsh, they still didn't get it, but I kept going. Maury papers, an interview in Nature Brazil, grant money, clinics asking for our models. I started seeing my name on conference programs little by little. Every time a check cleared or a new project began, I sent some home, clothes for Anna, a new fridge for my mother. The answers always came subdued. "Thank you, Philho. The neighbors say you'd gone away forever." I tried not to think about what else they said. 5 years passed. Work consumed me, finding partners in California, late-night calls with technicians from India. But Rio never really left me. When I closed my eyes, I pictured the street where I'd raced my cousins, the chipped tile in the church hall. I wanted desperately to come back, not as a prodigal but as something undeniable, a fact. One April morning, a call came from a Rio medical center. They'd seen my research. "We'd like to pilot your neuroprosthetics suite for our rehab unit. There's funding. We'll provide an apartment if you'd like to oversee things." The rage I'd nursed so long surged up again, but this time it was tangled with resolve. I emailed Claudia, "I need to go home 3 months. Maybe longer." She replied, "Go make them see." I returned to Rio with 2 black suitcases, a battered laptop, and a badge that read in block letters, Dr. Lucas Almeida. The city was as I remembered, streets chaotic with color, the air heavy with salt and engine smoke. Tia Rosalinda's building was larger but unchanged, green paint flaking in strips. My mother met me at the bus stop, older, smaller, her arms open. She didn't say much at first, just "Benvindo, Philho." Anna was taller, all gangly grace with fierce eyes. She wouldn't stop hugging me. My father stood stiffly nearby, face tight, suspiciously gleaming eyes. I hugged him, and something unknotted ever so slightly. The pilot project at the clinic was front page in the local community paper, but more important was the demonstration. Dr. Ruggiero, the neurologist, had arranged for community members to attend. An ex-military man, spinal damage from a fall, would try the prosthesis in public. Word spread up and down the avenue. Senor Evangelista would come, so would neighbors, cousins, people I recognized from that old dark day. All morning I adjusted settings, double-checked code, hands slick with sweat. My mother showed up in her best dress, Anna beside her. I saw Tia Rosalinda lingering at the back, green bangles on, holding her chin high. The church hall was no brighter after all these years, maybe dustier, the colored windows still slicing sunlight. I set up my demonstration on the old stage. The prototype gleamed chrome and blue, wires and pads neat, nothing like science fiction, just functional truth. Before the crowd, I welcomed them, voice clipped but strong. Some of you remember when I sat here as a teenager asking for permission to study science. Others laughed, others warned me off. Today, instead, I'd like you to witness what our community can be part of. Not away from you, but with you. There was shifting, low murmurs. Joe, older and thicker, nodded at me as if half in apology. We wheeled in the patient, Marcos, eyes sharp but body still. I knelt and explained it again, how the exosuit mapped AI to the body's intent, translating thought to motion. He nodded. My hands shook just once as I fitted electrodes to his scalp, strapped the frame to his legs. The machine beeped, the soft, steady sound I'd heard 1,000 anxious nights. I looked not at the device but at the crowd, at Senor Evangelista's raised brows, Rosalinda's skeptical frown, my father's braced, eager torso. "Ready?" I asked Marcos. He closed his eyes, then opened them. "I trust you, doctor." I pressed the control, a heartbeat, then slowly, as if against a heavy tide, Marcos's right leg twitched forward. Another pulse, his foot found the floor. He lifted himself upright, shakily but upright, clutching the rail. He took a step, then another. People in the room went silent, breath drawn in as one. Marcos reached the end of the rail, turned. A tear creased his face. "I haven't stood in 3 years," he said quietly. The murmurs exploded. Some clapped, others just stared. Senor Evangelista stepped forward. "Lucas, you made this possible." "Truly." I fixed him with the same gaze I'd had as a boy, with my team, but yes, I wanted you to see that it wasn't ridiculous, that sometimes belief beats fear. Tia Rosalinda came close, frowning. I misjudged you, Lucas." Her voice quivered. "You brought hope back here. You think I could understand how it works." "Yes, Tia," I said. "That's why I came back, so no one from here thinks science and dreams are only for the rich or from fools." I saw my father in the crowd, his jaw working, eyes wet. He came forward, arms wide. "Son," he choked, "I was wrong, I'm proud." He held me tight, quiet, all restraint left behind. After the demonstration, people pressed in, questions tumbling from neighbors who once rolled their eyes, from Joe's teenage son who wanted to make robots. Senor Evangelista shook my hand, humbler than I'd ever seen him. That night our kitchen was loud, full of food and laughter. The rage that had burned me for years was still there, but it had cooled into something different, power, maybe, or peace. My mother set her hands on my cheeks. "You kept your promise, Mu Filho." Anna looked at me, pride shining. "You came back." I realized, finally, that success isn't just leaving or proving them wrong. It's showing them what's possible and maybe letting them see you not as an oddity but as one of them. When I lay in my childhood bed, window cracked to the hot night, I heard sounds drifting up, the laughter, the world's hum, a small victory echoing down through every room. I'd left in anger, yes, but I'd come back whole, a story rewritten not just for me, but for all who once sat silent as the world called their dreams ridiculous.